Chefs Congress. It's this year, May 16th to 19th, 2026. It is going to be amazing. We have a great lineup of speakers, so many new things to learn, lots of engaging and demonstrations happening all throughout. We've got the competitions, Global Chef Challenge, all in Wales this year in May. Hoping to see a lot of you there. Welcome, welcome to our first Sustainability Around the World of 2026. We have Chef Charlotte Langley here with us. Good morning, Charlotte.
Good
Great to see
morning. How are
you.
you?
Great, great. I just want to see, we've got a slew of people here joining us from all over the world. It's so lovely, and I really do love, and I say it almost every time, to have my cup of tea with the world. And it's good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for many of you. If you have any questions today, please put it in the Q&A. I'm sure you're going to have lots. Charlotte has so much to share today, and on this topic of sustainability around the world, we're talking about something new, and I'd never heard the word before until Charlotte had mentioned it to me, and it was, or she had mentioned it, and I saw it online, and I had to look more into it, and it was seacuterie. So our topic is seacuterie. I mean, it is inspiring, innovative, and I mean, using conservas and really sustainable products. So we're going to talk to Charlotte. And first, I want to hear a little bit about you with regards to what we're talking about. Charlotte, tell me from where you sit, who you are, so everyone knows a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Good morning, afternoon, at whatever time it may be, wherever you are, everybody. My name is Chef Charlotte Langley. I've been a chef in Canada for over 21 years. I may not look it. I have my fresh skin still. And I have been working in the sustainable seafood sector in Canada for that 21 years as well. I come from a restaurant background. I've worked through a combination of small to large restaurants, hotels, and I've done a ton of competitions on a national level as well. So kind of have my fingers in a bit of everything. But I decided to focus my career on what I love the most, which is talking about and working with sustainable seafood. That is my sort of driver. And that's what brought me to launch. Talk about some of the things that we're going to be talking about today.
Perfect. I mean, it's great to have chefs on because we're chefs talking to chefs. Like most of the people we see, we've
Yeah,
got here from California, Tunisia, Australia, India. Like we're talking to the world, and almost everyone here is either a foodie or a chef and a big fan of sustainability. That's why they're tuning in today. So let's get right to
amazing.
sort of the nitty gritty of things because I want to know.
Of course.
Um, there's core problems, right? But Seacuterie helps solve some of this for chefs. Like how what do you do? Like how could a chef use this your product? So tell us a little bit, I guess, about your product and what they could do to be creative without sacrificing sort of flavor or anything, right? What could they do with that?
Yeah. Well, I'd love if you don't mind to talk a little bit about like how Seacuterie sort of came to be.
Yeah,
And, when it
yeah.
comes to me, myself, we all know charcuterie. I'm sure everybody here can raise their hand and go, I've made a charcuterie board for an
Yep.
event somewhere in the world.
Mhm.
And for me, I like, meat has a larger carbon footprint, like beef and pork, etc., than seafood does, because seafood primarily is the world's last, like, largest wild vestige of product, right? Besides foraging mushrooms and stuff like that, the ocean is really the largest last provider of seafood of food.
Yes.
So when it comes to looking at alternatives to meat, I was going, we should do a seacuterie board. And see, a seacuterie board, basically, for people that don't know what that is obviously seafood or sea-based ingredients on a beautiful presentation board that can be served in 6 ways from Sunday to share with people and talk about ways to introduce people to new species. It shows how to pair very interesting ingredients with the seacuterie, with these types of species. It gives people sort of like a tour of what can be the most delicious, the most responsible, the most sustainable sort of seafood out there. I live in the world of conservas or canned seafood, canned food. And I would like to introduce the concept around seacuterie be focusing on cans, or
Okay.
it's very convenient, it's a convenient way to get sustainable seafood into your diet.
Okay.
I'm full of puns, so we'll get used to that.
Yeah, yeah. So with that, so what would you say, how do cans sort of solve problems for chefs? Like if people were to look towards sort of conservas or beautifully canned fish or seafood, what kind of problems would that solve for chefs?
Lots of stuff. Okay, so when it comes to problem solving and using cans on the in a scenario of a seacuterie board or a seacuterie station, we have, global labor challenges. We're talking about shortages in places where people are not as excited about maybe working on the line 16 hours a day. We're looking more for like a work-life balance, which I think is super reasonable.
Yeah.
Seacuterie solves the problem of convenience and ease of use. So I like to call seacuterie like the point of least resistance cuisine, as in you can open up a can, very minimal garnishing, put it down and present it, and serve some nice accompaniments, beautiful breads, pickles, what have you. And you don't have to have a ton of experience and skill to do that. You can make you. It does help to have, maybe you make some fancy garnishes or something like that. But it makes it really accessible and easy to do. So I don't have to say to you, hey, here's how you make, this 14 component multi-day prep thing, like a Wellington stuff with foie gras. Like, we're not doing that. It's literally open, serve, and get creative with how you're going to present and pair. So I think it talks about with making it there's less of a bound, it's more accessible, right? Which is really nice. And there's so many surprising flavors there, because I find that one of my favorite things about being a chef is when you're using seacuterie in this space, it's a surprise and a delight moment. Like, you crack it, you're surprised. Wow, it's interesting, it's beautiful, has a great flavor, and then it's super delightful. And that, as a chef, to me, is something that we're trying to accomplish all the time, is making things that are, the full package.
Exciting too. And I mean, I guess all said, this is going to help with sustainability and consistency in the kitchen, right? In some
Consistency is a big deal as well. Yeah, if consistency is important to you, which I always like to challenge that a little bit, because sometimes, the wheat was harvested on a Wednesday and it was sunny out. The wheat was harvested on the Thursday, it was raining. There's so many subtle variables when it comes to food. Is how you react and treat them to keep that consistency. But when it comes to canned food specifically, it's hard. It's done obviously in like large bumper crop seasons or like larger harvest models. So, for example, it's harvested when it's at the peak of sustainability, the seasonality of the species life cycle, etc. So then you have a consistent good across the board, because they've all been sort of made at the same time. And it also is great for shelf life, because it doesn't go bad. The spoilage is so low that you have literally cans in your back of your restaurant or wherever you are working.
Yes.
And they'll sit on the shelf for 5 years.
Yeah,
and like cheese and wine.
Yeah,
fish is so volatile. But I was just thought very funny too, is that some people like to age the tins. And as in, like, they'll buy them when they're new, freshly made, but they'll eat them 5 years later, because like cheese and wine, things change and things can improve.
Oh, wow.
It's like same as like a salami, right? Yeah. Like you put a ham on your celery dry for 5 years, and as it ages, it gets on different flavor profiles, and everything changes. It's the same with seacuterie and tin fish.
I hadn't thought of it that way. So let's talk about sort of where your passion and your craft kind of came together. So you were sort of pushed and your ideas moved into seafood. I guess maybe it's where you're from or what you grew up with. And
definitely found it
built Langley Foods. Like, how did this sustainable an idea all get put together? How did that become your philosophy, I guess?
That is like, I love this question. It also is like basically like summarize your entire life into a paragraph or so.
Can you take everything down into one piece? Yeah.
Just take it down and be concise. I'm actually taking a writing course right now to write a cookbook and to improve my conciseness. Being concise in communication is important. So I'm going to give it a go.
Here's a practice.
Here's a good example. I am from Prince Edward Island, Canada. So Atlantic Canada. I grew up around fisheries and farming. Was primarily potatoes and lobster. And from my early childhood on, I thought that becoming a chef would be a very interesting way to explore the world, explore cuisine, share stories, meet people. I'm a very outgoing person. Being a chef or becoming a chef was a tool that kind of unlocked the door to all these opportunities. Being a chef, you can be a chef in product development, you could be a chef for TV, you could be a cookbook writer, you could run the best restaurant in the world, you could work at a small little bodega in the middle of nowhere and be very happy. Depends on what you want. So from there, after unlocking the door, I started looking at sort of places that were like the sort of cuisine and things that were attractive to me. So seafood has always been something that I've been attracted to. It felt like my innate nature as a chef to protect and engage with seafood. So I often call myself like an ocean and waterways steward. I work on a lot of sustainable factors, because I think as chefs, once we get out in the world and people see us engaging and we're cooking for lots of people, it's our responsibility to do things with care and thoughtfulness. and that includes how we source food. So
Right.
I'm a baby. I'm in PEI. I become a chef. I move around in restaurants. I'm running chef. I'm running restaurants. I'm working with sustainable seafood. I'm diving into it deeper. And then I get an outreach with somebody called the MSC. The
Okay.
MSC is a global NGO called the Marine Stewardship Council. They
Right.
said, Chef, we want to work with you because you're representing us nationally anyway. I
Okay.
became the chef ambassador. And from there, it kind of combined a combination, it blended culinary and sustainable seafood responsibility into
Yeah.
one. And that
Okay.
became kind of like my push forward.
All
So
right.
every time I make a product or source or engage, I'm sourcing the best possible product as possible that is the most sustainable, responsible, regenerative, etc.,
Okay.
and also good quality. And then that sort of like goes hand in hand with then like wanting to start companies like my company called Nice Cans
Yes.
that has those same ethos baked in. And then Langley Foods is my parent company, or it's a holding company that
Yes.
helps invest and support smaller food brands. I'm in Canada, currently mostly in Canada, to launch into market with all those same values. So, like a supply chain, at the top is the Langley Foods, the Holdco. Nice Can is one of the food brands that I'm working with that has
Yes.
all this sourcing and responsibility baked into the model.
Yeah.
It's chef driven, it's delicious, it's sustainable, etc.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then from there, it's all my training and history of working through stewardship, training in the seafood sector, working with fisheries, being from Atlantic Canada.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically, I guess you could follow it linearly. Linearly, it looks like it makes sense. In
Well,
a
you look,
way.
it's amazing. Like you've put your philosophy together and you've really
Yes.
layered it by having always that lens of looking at it through sustainability and chef's eyes. Not one, not the other, but both every single time. And that really, I mean, that builds trust knowing who you are and then people seeing your product.
Yes.
How do you choose species that are delicious and good for ocean health? Like how do you find that information out? Do you just say, "Hey, let's try so and so," right? It's
Yeah. Well, it's actually funny. So CPG, or consumer packaged goods, is a category of food production that I've
okay.
become very involved in. So
Right.
no longer do I stand on the line. Like I'm not working in a kitchen anymore the same way I used to. I still do catering events. I haven't lost my touch. I'm still there, but I've developed products, food products. So from there, I'll use that as my example, if that's okay. When it comes to creating a species or finding species to work with that are responsible, sustainable, and delicious, where am I looking? Well, I'm looking globally. I'm
Okay.
going, okay, let's look at what's going on around the world when it comes to seafood commodity. The majority of consumers around the world eat tuna, eat salmon. Oysters are really popular.
Yeah.
Caviar is trending like crazy these days, thanks
Mhm.
to all these TikTok people. I'm looking at all the species that people are consuming. I'm going, okay, like what's the most popular? Like, what do people know?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, is there something that I can produce that's like similar but not the same? Because
Yeah.
for me, it's about diversifying your seafood consumption, not just eating
Okay.
all of the same thing. It's not
Yeah.
responsible. Like, it's just,
Right.
there's only so much, there's only so much tuna out there, and there's
Mm.
not much. So we have to be thoughtful.
Yes.
Then I also look at competitive brands, other companies. What are they doing? What's super popular right now? Like, what are they working on? And then I look at where I'm going to be producing the good. So, because the world is our breadbasket, and we're very fortunate to have global trade, uh, I discover I look at different places of where I can produce based on the species. So,
Yes.
for example, Canadian lobster. I'm going to produce Canadian lobster in Atlantic Canada, where the species is harvested from. It's
Okay.
MSC certified. It's from a highly regenerative and well managed fishery. I'm going
Yep.
to can it there. I'm not going to take lobster and ship it to wherever to produce and then send it back to Canada. I need to produce regionally. So what
Okay.
I'm trying to tell you is that I focus on regional ingredients with
Mm.
regional production, but local is wherever you are, right? Like if you're in, there's people here from Dubai, Qatar, South Africa, like all from California, Congo, the Republic of Congo. There's people from all over the world here. They're local to where they are. They're going to be
Yeah.
producing hopefully this regional to them.
Yes.
So I take all
Okay.
those things into play.
So it's local with a global look as well, right? Like it's taking what's best in the world. So when
Yes.
you're doing something like that, is there how do you get MSC certified? Like if you or how does that play into what you do? And then we'll talk about what it means to chefs after, right? Like how does that MSC work for you? Like, how does that labeling happen?
Does that work?
Yeah.
Well, I have to sort of push for that. The
Okay.
majority of seafood producers, okay, well, let me talk about the supply chain just generally, if you don't
Hmm.
mind for a second. When it comes to grocery stores and institutions
Yep.
uh, around the world, they're looking for these certain standards to bring into their environment. For example, global grocery stores like maybe Whole Foods or Erewhon or I don't know Sprouts. I don't know what like Woolworths in Australia. I'm trying to tell you like grocery
Yeah.
stores around the world that I know of. Just like national grocery stores around the world, they have these sort of like ESG development goals that they built
Okay.
into their overall package because
All
they
right.
are funded by larger organizations.
Okay.
So grocery stores are looking for these certification standards like MSC, AFC, FSC, B Corp, WE, like the list goes on. Okay, they want all of them. And I go, okay, I want to have MSC certified sardines for a lot of reasons. It comes from a responsible fishery. It comes from a place where they're working with, best possible fishing practices, etc. Where do I start? So I'll use Portugal as an example. Nice Cans, the company that I launched this last year, my canned fish company. I have a great relationship with some friends in Portugal, and they run a cannery called Jose Gourmet, and
Yeah.
they're the smallest cannery in Portugal. And the big ones, they would do tuna and like all the big stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I reached out to them. I've been making a relationship with them for many years. I said, listen, I want to can with you guys. I want you to co-pack with me because I really
Yeah.
want to can sardines.
Hmm.
I love sardines. They're so hot right now as well. People are like sardine fast. They're doing crazy stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, but I need you to become MSC certified. And at the time, Jose Gourmet was like, we don't really see the value in that. Because if
Yeah.
you want to become certified, hi from Egypt. I love that someone here is from Egypt. It's so cool. Um, if you want to become certified, it costs the fishery or the processor, the person in the back
Yeah.
end, like the back of house person versus the front of house, like marketing sales person.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
costs them money to become certified. Depending on the size of their fishery or processing, they have to like go through a lot of auditing, which like,
Okay.
auditing
Um,
sucks. No one
yeah.
wants to be audited. So when it comes to becoming certified, you have to get like a third party auditor. They come in, they're inspecting everything, you're sourcing, where you're getting it from, all the people that you work with, everything when it comes to the fishery. So fortunately, I was able to say to Jose Gourmet, I said, listen, guys, MSC certification is really important to me. It's a mandate. I'm the chef ambassador for Canada. I
Yeah.
cannot not fight for
Do that.
this. It's like what
Yeah.
I love to do. Little heart, thank you. And I convinced them to get certified. And they were like, okay, they see the value of it now. And then what ended up happening, so interestingly enough, this was just last year,
Yeah.
the port where they get all their seafood from for the
Yes.
cannery, the port's like, why are you getting this certification? Like, what's the why?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, the chef in Canada really wants us to become certified. So then the port got certified.
Wow.
And
So they didn't
then
do it then.
they didn't. Well, they still have to do it because if you're
Yeah.
to be a part of the MSC, you have to be certified upon every single part of the supply chain.
All
Wherever
of
that
them.
product hits, like the boats, the
Yeah.
fishery, the processor, the company, we all have to be certified because we're all assuming
I'll part in it.
responsibility
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
chunk of that supply chain.
Right.
So then the port got certified, which is great because that means like the port could then find and purchase or harvest wild sustainable sardines and bring them in. That's super great. Versus them having to go somewhere else and find them, like in England or in other
Yeah.
places. And then June 21st or June 15th of 2025, 21 sardine fisheries in Portugal, all got certified. The country
Wow.
has totally been certified all of their sardine fisheries. It hasn't been that way since 2011 or something like that. It is the coolest supply domino effect of creating a demand for sustainable, responsible food like seafood
Yes.
and the market reacting to it.
Wow.
People want this. They want to be more responsible. They want to feel good about what they're purchasing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get certified. So
What a
like for
win-win.
me, it's a huge win. But like
Yes.
no one talks about this stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
you're like, I didn't know this. Not many people do. But I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. That's
It's
amazing.
amazing.
to have a push from your heart and it go out, and then other people see it and want to be a part of it, right? I mean, if the
Exactly.
world wasn't where the world is right now, they might not have all fallen in, but right now everybody wants to do better, right? So I
Well,
think
there's
that,
a demand for it. You know, we're at the point where there's a threshold where you have to do better. Otherwise, you won't show up on shelf. You won't become a product that can last. Like you
yeah,
have to, the responsibility, the sustainable and responsibility has to be baked in from your project from the beginning.
yeah,
Otherwise, it's going to disappear. Look at the chocolate industry these days. They are
yeah,
freaking out,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like they're like, how do we protect our massive national global investments?
Yes.
Anyway,
So
sorry to hit
if
Australia
if
there.
we're looking, so I love that you've told the story of sort of this Marine Stewardship Council, the story coming down. So now we've got the product. How do chefs source these things? How do they find out about them? How do they know if a product is, maybe in different parts of the world there's different certifications, but from what you know, being an ambassador for MSC, how does a chef find out about these products? Like, how do we get them into our places on our menus?
Well, you go to msc.org and it's a global website. There's a global NGO,
Okay.
which means that they have sites, like they have a head office in every country. Like there's
All the
at least
countries.
one person
Okay.
represent every country that has one. So
Okay.
I would just go to msc.org. I'm gonna put that in the chat. And
Yeah.
if you want to learn more about sustainable seafood on a global scale, you can put
Okay.
in like find a fishery,
Yeah.
and it'll tell you, if you're, let's say you're in Egypt and you're looking for specific seafood or sustainable seafood options, type in Egypt, you can find fisheries, and it'll give you sort of like a supply chain of like who
Where to get
has
them
that
from?
product, where can I find
Wow.
it from.
Okay. That's a super tool. Like,
It is a
let's,
super tool.
so now we've talked about sort of where you come from, the products you're doing, the MSC, how the chefs are getting it. Now let's talk a little bit, because we want to talk a little bit about food. If you were, building a
Yes, of course.
charcuterie board in your kitchen, where do you start? Like, is there something that you say, I always have to have this, and then make sure I have so on and so forth? Like, is there somewhere you start with the charcuterie board and then sort of build from there?
Well, I start with usually when depends on how many people are attending the charcuterie board. If I'm
Yeah,
doing a charcuterie board for like a dozen, it's a private
yeah,
dinner for 12 people.
yeah,
That's gonna it's gonna limit what I put on, as
yeah,
in I don't want to put too much on and waste it. I'm very like I don't want to waste the product. So I pick my favorites. I'm like, oh, I'm
yeah,
gonna introduce them to some of my favorites. Like
yeah,
it's this, razor clam, or it's this, mussels with whatever. And then
yeah.
when it comes to larger groups, I want them to taste consistency and quality across the board. So I'd
Mm,
probably put on products that are more like-minded, and a
yes.
few wild cards. Because it
Okay.
depends on when you're introducing people to seacuterie for like the first time,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I don't like fish, or I don't like fishy fish, or they say all these dumb things.
Yeah.
You're like, well, fishy fish means that the fish is off. So,
Yeah. We won't have
it's,
that.
we won't have that.
Yeah.
So I like to start with the core species that I'm working with or I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
And I start there. Like, I always like to have, because canned fish conservas are quite, soft on the palate. There's not a lot
Yeah.
of texture, right? They're not crunchy. They're not like, there's not a whole lot of crunch going on there.
Yes.
I like to start with a variety of species that show off like the versatility of what retort or canning can do.
Okay.
So you want a nice pate, like a smoked tuna pate.
Yeah.
You want like some clams or shellfish to show the different texture of a
Yeah.
clam, a mussel versus a razor clam versus an oyster, because they all
Yeah.
have different sort of experiences. Like they have
No.
different
Yeah.
mouth feels, different textures. And when it comes to fin fish, if somebody is if I'm, let's say I'm doing something in Toronto, okay, Toronto,
Yeah.
Canada. Everyone here knows tuna and salmon. That's ubiquitous with canned
Yeah.
food. I'm going to say we're not having tuna and salmon today. Maybe I'll give you mackerel. Maybe I'll give you sardines with a really nice sauce that's like approachable and luscious. But it comes down to what I used to always say to my chefs when they were building these things in the kitchen. This is sort of my go-to line was, don't think, just feel. And
Right.
you're going to trust your intuition as a chef to pull together what you think the consumer or the guests are going to love the most. So it isn't really necessarily a starting
Yeah. Yeah.
place. It's often also
Yeah.
to what you have available.
Yeah. I mean, it's still flavor forward, visual experience,
Yes.
texture, all the things still fall in line with what you
Well,
would
that's
build
what
it,
you
right?
then you add to the plate to complement and support
Yeah.
those things. So Most seafood in a tin has a base, has an olive oil or an oil base in it. Like it's smoked sardines and olive oil. It's tuna with oil emulsion. There's not a lot of acidity into tins because the
Yeah.
pH capability of tin or aluminum can only hold so much. There's a bit of a
Okay.
threshold on acidity in production. So you want to add acidity and texture to your board or to your
Okay.
charcuterie plate. Like I am obsessed with crunch. I think I like the texture of crunch more than any
Me too.
texture.
Yeah.
Like
So
cucumbers and
crunchy.
carrots and celery. I love crunchy stuff. So
Yeah.
for me, I really like including or tin-cluding
Yeah.
things that have a lot of like texture and crunch to go with them. Lots of crackers, lots of crunchy veggies, beautiful endive, things that also bring like bright, robust contrast. Like, for
Yeah. Yeah.
example, I like bold flavor. So I would put like endive or radicchio or some sort of
Yeah.
like bitter
Makes
green
it a
to
loveliness.
serve
Yeah.
alongside. And then you have like a schmear crumb fresh and a little bit of a smoked mussel or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
So nice. Oh, I think I know what I'm doing this week for dinner one night. I'm so
oh yeah,
excited.
I'm making a charcuterie board for breakfast. But I
Yeah.
also love too how versatile how versatile they can be outside of the charcuterie board because you're gonna have leftovers. You're gonna have a scenario where maybe if anyone here is gonna be trying a charcuterie board at home and there's a few leftovers that you don't finish the whole can,
Yes.
then it can be converted into something equally as delicious and thrown into a main for yourself or for other clients. I
Yeah.
have a pasta dish that I do fresh tagliatelle or fresh fettuccine noodles, whatever.
Yeah.
I call it sardinesca because
Yeah.
puttanesca was a
Gonna
sauce
go with that
French
too.
trade,
Yeah.
Instead of the anchovies, I use a can of sardines. And from there, you get like omegas and protein and healthy fats. And you get to use the sardines in a way that is introducing charcuterie as in a product that is great on a charcuterie board, but it's not just meant for a charcuterie board.
Um,
And it helps you stretch the product out, take a recipe that people are like, oh, I know what puttanesca is or whatever.
yeah.
Oh, I'll try
Next
sardinesca. It's a
level.
way, it's like a gateway fish. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, because people might be fearful or not able to approach. This gives them a way to sort of approach it. And starting with something they know is always the best, right? Take a comfort food and then make it super fun. And that's
yeah.
always the
I
most
mean,
magic.
I had a quote about that yesterday, and it talks about like when it comes to taking care of guests, the only way to change a guest's mind is if you can share something with their heart, like
Oh,
get to know their heart and share something with them. So if you're like, I have this dish that maybe is a memory or a reminder or an
yeah.
inspiration or something that they can encourage them to try, because it's also
Yeah.
about building confidence in your consumers and your guests as well to like trust you, right, to
Yeah.
make the right decisions for them and bring them the best of the best. So I like to find a way to connect with that person or those people so they feel good about whether
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah. Yeah.
try anything, they'll
Yeah,
try
that's
anything.
fun. We'll try. So when you're talking about like speaking to the guests, because we have a lot of chefs that are watching right now, and it
Yes.
becomes you don't want to be preachy, but how would you talk to guests that feel sort of inviting rather than intimidating about sustainability when you're looking at sort of fish and seafood?
Well, I have to say this is actually something that I still struggle with,
Hmm.
and making sustainability sexy, for lack of a better word, or making it
Yeah,
interesting to your guests isn't always easy. They're not always like, oh, I'm really attracted to sustainable seafood, or this is like my personal, thing that I talk about all the time. I feel a
yeah,
little bit like I'm on an island
yeah.
alone talking about it, and then I
You're
want to
not.
get in my
You're not. Yeah.
soapbox and okay, thank you. I get on my soapbox and I, talk about it. Like standing up and like preaching about it. So I would say that the way I like to sort of express it to my guests is that, listen, my job as a chef is to find the most delicious, responsible, sustainable things. And I have this sort of mission and mandate to make them for you. And if I make a can of sardines or whatever it may be, I've done all the homework in the background. I've done all
Yeah.
the research, I've done all the product development, all the recipe development, all the formulation, I've done the whole thing.
You just
The
have to eat
consumer, they just have to eat it. The consumer doesn't even really need to know.
Okay.
But if they choose my product over another person's product, I'm the product to choose because I mean, excuse my ego here, but it's like I've done this research to make this most sustainable product on the market.
Yeah.
They don't really have to know. If they want to know, they're going to look at it and they're going to notice. And they're going to lean in. And they're going to go, "Oh, interesting." They're going to ask questions. But you can also encourage guests to feel confident about the decisions they make when they shop or when they place orders or whatever it may be.
Yes.
Look for these labels. look for the MS, really simple, look for the MSC label. It's this tiny little blue check mark that you can see it
Yeah,
globally. Like it's the
on everything,
same
right?
logo everywhere, right?
Mm.
That's a way to be like, hey, guess if you enjoyed this beautiful Seacuterie board, just look for the MSC Bluefish tick when you go. Like you can
Yeah.
spout a quick media line to them, and
Well, it shows that you've done your homework, right? And I guess
yeah,
that's enough for most people. They're happy to be doing something that's good. They may not need to know all the details, I guess, right? And I
yeah.
love to story tell, but you don't need to share, I guess, everything. What have
I
you
like it
learned?
too. Then they'll lose interest if you put me in front of a Seacuterie board because I'll talk about it for 2 hours.
But it's a good discussion piece for them as well when they
Yeah.
see what's happening on the board. Like you said, it brings people together and lets them talk about it. So you've done a wealth of things as far as going through
Yes.
the industry, and you've gone sort of chef turned entrepreneur. Is there anything you would say that might help chefs who want to push into that, but keeping that sustainable lens? Like, is there anything that you could say that would further their work if they were doing that?
And like how they can develop something on their own or how they can
Yeah,
become more involved
more
with
sustainable.
working
I would
with
say
NG.
if they have an idea of doing an entrepreneurial piece, like say someone is, I'm going to do my own catering, I'm going to start my own product, I want to do, how do they become more
Start.
sustainable? Yeah, or start. Like, how do they get into that idea in a
Well,
short?
I'd like to, yeah. May I ask you, the majority of the lovely chefs that are on this call, is it a range of, is it a whole range of types of chefs? Like, as in, like, is it
Yeah,
mostly young cooks, or is it like chefs that are like, I run 4,000 restaurants?
it's both.
Or
It's both.
it's all of
But
it.
we have
Okay,
people
well,
like,
every
yeah,
every lens starts differently, or it looks differently for every
yeah,
person in the room, I guess. But I would say that if you want to become more involved and if you want to share more sustainability messaging
yeah,
and talk about ways that it positively benefits the planet and people, um, getting involved with an organization like the MSC is a good place to start. It
okay,
just gives you real information. Like, the thing is, there's so much fake news out there, right? And fake information and data. It's all like there's a lot of bullshit out there. So working with a accredited NGO that has information, data, can answer any questions about, where does this species come from? What does the certification standard mean? How do you mean this person in the supply chain is like this? I like to introduce this to my restaurant or my model. How do I get involved? They can help you and like get you to those steps. If you want to become your own business operator, as in like launch a product, you have to do some serious mind mapping about where you want the product to go and where you are, right?
yeah,
Like, I want a global, nice cans for me. It has to be my goal is a global recognized brand, which
yeah,
means that I want to see that MSC certification logo in every grocery store, in every bodega, in every food service space around the world.
yeah,
So that means I have to go, how can I scale this on a global scale? It's going to be different for everybody, and it's very complex. But
yeah.
if anybody wants to talk about launching a brand about sustainable seafood or anything like that, give them my email. I'd be
Okay.
happy to do one-on-ones because it's a lot to say in 5 seconds.
Watch it, yeah. Well, I'd say sort of, and what you're saying is surround yourself with people that actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Align yourself with an NGO or a brand that is
an
reliable,
accredited organization.
accredited, right? And
Yeah,
then really define where you want to be and find the right supply chain for that, right? If I were to
yeah, and
look at,
also be, yeah. That's a really, you're so, no, that's concise, girl. That's
well, I
concise.
am, I am the Reader's Digest version of things. That is my superhero
I love
powers.
it. That's a great superhero power. I'd also say too, exploring, get a bit wacky in that space too. Like, look at different solutions, get creative. This is like the thing about making products for chefs, is that we're not just creating beautiful dishes on the line or for guests, and we're not doing that. We're creating a product that has to go into a package that has to be then shipped. It's a place to get creative, and the culinary lens, um, like, it flexes your muscles quite well when it comes to like pH
A lot
and
of growth,
acidity and
a lot of
age.
growth and
Think,
learning,
are they,
right?
yeah, are they going to age well? Is it going to sit on the shelf well, etc.?
Amazing. I have loved this, but I want to, and as with every time we do a sustainability around the world webcast, something I like to ask, and it's at the end of a lot of webcasts that you hear, is if we were leaving our chefs that are watching, we've got a lot of them. We have someone here from Nigeria asking questions, but what is one small shift tomorrow that every chef watching could help support sort of sustainable seafood? What would that small shift be, do you think? Like if we were all to do a little something, what would be something we could do?
Very simply, buy MSC or ASC certified products. Very simply. So from your suppliers, like along the supply chain, demand and ask for a higher quality of traceability in the supply chain. So that is working with MSC or ASC. ASC is their aquaculture equivalent, their sister
Okay.
company for farm products.
All right.
That is the easiest thing to do. Just like, hey supplier, hey Cisco, hey whoever,
Yeah.
I'm looking for MSC certified wild fish. What do you have?
Hmm.
That is one, and then also I would say diversifying your what you're offering.
Okay.
So everyone, like, sort of encouraging your consumers, your guests to try something different.
Yeah.
Maybe make that mackerel or that shellfish, those mussels, or that seaweed based dish very affordable or available, and some people samples and trial it out to get your guests enjoying and trying something different versus always ordering that 6 ounce piece of salmon. Because diversifying our consumption, like the ocean is of the most regenerative place on earth. It
Okay.
will do so well if we take care of it, which
Yes.
we are, we're trying to do that. So if we demand other species and encourage guests to diversify their diet,
Yes.
it takes a load off of the ocean. For example, salmon, pink salmon, one of our largest exported salmons from British Columbia, from the west coast of Canada. They only make babies every 2 years. They don't just like pump babies out every quarter. So when you are demanding that product, from a wild species perspective, we can't keep up. It just is not enough. It's just not realistic.
Yeah.
When you look at species like shellfish and like mussels, oysters, clams, aquatic vegetation like kelps, seaweeds, etc., highly regenerative. They can produce in a short period of time. The production runs are shorter.
Yes.
Why are we not using more of those species? So my answer to you is diversify your consumption and what you're selling to your guests. Get creative with another species and look for MSC or ASC certification from your suppliers. That doesn't take much work to do.
Fabulous.
Demand it.
These
Demand
are
change.
we have the power for change. And as I say, anytime I'm talking to my students at Humber or anytime I'm doing a webcast, every choice you make matters. And if you really make conscious, good choices every single time you're ordering food, or you try and make better choices by using some of the suggestions you've made today or working with MSC, you're going to have great aha moments in seeing you're becoming more sustainable with these small shifts, right? As a chef, that
Yeah.
is imperative nowadays. It's not a trend. It's not a just here for a little while. This is a forever looking after our planet, right? So I think the work you've done, Charlotte, is fabulous. And I want to
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much for sharing with us today, for doing the work
My
you do
pleasure.
and really digging in. I want to thank everyone for joining us at home and sharing your time with us. All of you live, it's been great seeing you all chime in and share with us. We are so excited to have done this today, and we look forward to seeing you all at our next Sustainability Around the World in February. And if you'd like to know more about what Charlotte's done, you can find lots online. If you look up Charlotte Langley, you are going to find her.
There. Probably too much.
I
I just
know.
put my company in the. I just put my brand nice cans in the chat. If anyone wants to check
Yes.
out, I am the conserva queen in Canada. I'm all about that canned seafood, that tin fish world.
Yes.
Take a look at my website. We just launched. It's delicious. It's a boldly delicious canned food brand. It's meant to get people excited about eating sustainable, responsible, delicious chef-led products. So get in there. And if you have any questions, like I said to anybody in the chat, please reach out to me directly, and be happy to have conversations with anybody. I always
Perfect.
love it.
Thanks so much, Chef. I appreciate you being here today. You have made bold choices and stepped in new directions that we really, really love. I can't wait to do my next Seacuterie board, and we'll talk to you all soon when we have our next Sustainability Around the World in February. Take care, everyone.